Hi, this is the Ivy League Astrologer with the June 2015 reading for Vedic Sagittarius. Okay, for Vedic Sagittarians, the first card out is the Five of Wands, which looks like you really want to forge ahead with something. And I feel like maybe for some of you, you're like, you know what, like all the stuff that's been standing in my way that I keep thinking I've worked out and then it collapses again, I am ready to cut through it. Ready to just, blaze right through that like a hot knife through butter. So I feel like for some of you, this is about changing old habits that you've kind of maybe been impulsive about or something. And regaining balance in your life, striking a balance that is going to help you move forward. And I feel like this is partly an expectation of like a future event that you can't quite see from here. Because someone else is kind of mulling over your offer or mulling over your value to them, you know. And it's kind of on them to like pull the trigger when they're ready. So I feel like your work is to sort of balance yourself in the meantime. Just kind of do right, be right, you know. I think it's really like kind of getting in touch with your sense of moral rightness, and with your sense of intuitively what is healing for you, so that you can kind of experience your own personal rebirth, which I feel like is necessitated by like the failure of a past relationship, or the failure of a past project that, you know, was good at one time, seemed like a victory at one time, but which has gone south. Yeah. Gone south to the point where maybe you're not hearing from this person, or maybe what you are hearing from this person is delusional or is just not effective in some way. So it feels like there's more study needed kind of for you and for this other person. But that there's something that will come back around for you from a relationship that's been severed. But right now it's time to focus on yourself and on kind of filling your own cup. And just, I don't know, just enjoying yourself a bit more. Kind of taking up space is the phrase that's coming up, you know. Taking up space, like allowing yourself to be as big as your spirit wants to be, you know. For others, you may hear something that collapses your hopes of an easy reunion, you know, or an easy resolution to a problem. Yeah, you may get news or words that need to be kind of halted in order to be balanced, in order for the situation to balance itself. Like they may need to be confronted with truth in order for the situation to balance itself out and for people to be able to see clearly. Excuse me, the word dogged is coming up, so it strikes me that this is either like a dogged problem, something that won't go away, you know, that keeps persisting, or else it's you're dealing with a person who's very dogged, who is convinced of their own right action, even though they're coming up in the reverse, so they're not actually coming from a healthy place. And they're certainly not coming from their higher self. Feels more like it could be either, honestly. I was going to say it feels more like the male in the situation because the dogs are kind of pointing to the male, but the dog is kind of across the body of the woman as well. So it could be either, it could be a combination of like somebody bringing out your worst side as well. So if you find that happening this month, the suggestion, the advice is to soothe rather than sink to their level, you know. So don't fight fire with fire, fight fire with water. Put out the fire. And water in astrological terms is always about compassion, understanding, intuitive strength. So it's sort of like, you know, you have to rise above it, but it's sort of almost like you just flow through it or flow past it in a way. Which doesn't mean leaving it unacknowledged necessarily, because it is sounding like these words that are, or looking like these words that are maybe coming from the wrong place. They need to be halted. You need to be like, no, that's not the way it is. That's not. And for some people, you may need to take a time out until things rebalance on their own. But for some people, I think the act of not accepting words that are coming from an inaccurate place is going to help to balance the scales. Because I think it helps to tweak someone's intuition, and what you say in return sounds right to them, you know. So, and they may not immediately be able to let you know that. They may not, and you may not immediately see this sort of new direction unfolding in front of you, but it seems like it may kind of cause a shift in thinking that is going to rebalance the situation. Yeah, that's going to help them to take action when they reach the point of resolution. They're still stuck right now. But yeah, I do see a healing in this situation, whatever it is, but it's going to take work, and it's a ways off. Though in the way to getting there, it just feels like it's a way off, but the way to getting there isn't necessarily unpleasant. It's just like that the full resolution of what you want is not available for a while. So it feels like the hardest part is to kind of get on the right path. And again, I feel like that's a healing path for yourself this month. But it may also be needing to heal the way you communicate with someone. So it feels like the hardest part is kind of getting on the path, but then it doesn't feel like it's uncomfortable to get, once you're on the path, it's kind of getting into the right groove is kind of the difficult part. And then the full resolution is still a ways off, but it's doable kind of once you get on the path. So it's a lot better than where you are right now in this sort of stuck place. Yeah, there's some issue that needs more time. And what you can do in the meantime while it feels like you're taking time, somebody else is taking time. And like I said at the beginning, for a lot of you, this is not within your control. And I think that came up last month too. So what you can do now is to sort of, again, take up space, you know. Don't make yourself crazy or small while you're waiting for this, but find what balances you and find what brings you joy. And this advice is coming up quite a bit this month as well, but stop giving to situations that don't give back to you. Like energetically, you know, more practically, stop giving to things that don't give back. The scales need to be balanced there, it feels like, and it feels like the way to balance that is to give less. Be like, yeah, I know. I'm not going to take this. Sorry. I'm not going to handle that problem for you because that is your problem. So you need to handle that. And it's like that's actually sort of the brighter way and actually sort of the more loving way to proceed, even though it may feel strange at first or may feel, yeah, just uncomfortable. But in the long run, that's going to be much more healing for you and for this entire situation somehow. Or for whatever, if this situation is separate from the initial thing, for your family circle, for like an extended group of people, it's going to be healthier. And end a sense of silent suffering and this sense of like kind of martyrdom that you may have. Yeah, it's kind of like releasing your own negative feelings. Like maybe you've had to be like good, be the one who doesn't, who's not a problem or whatever. But it's like releasing your own negative feelings. But kind of keeping them to yourself in a way. So it seems like a paradox, but I think that what it's trying to say is that it's like releasing the negative feelings, but not necessarily releasing them into this relationship, back into this relationship. And I think I give this advice to a private client as well, that it's like, writing it out in a way so that you're getting it out of yourself and you're allowing yourself to see all that's there, but you're keeping it safe in a way, It's like you're saying what the problem is, and you can kind of write it as if you're writing it to the person that you're angry at. But then you kind of put it to the side. You don't give it to them. You don't show it to them necessarily. You use it for your own internal cleansing and to get yourself kind of flowing again. Yeah, I've just been learning a little bit more about Chinese medicine, and I still don't know that much about Chinese medicine, but there's something called liver qi stagnation, which is basically stress, and it's also just like unfulfilled desires. It's like wanting something or just working on a project that doesn't ever seem to really get to where you're going. So it's like that can actually just like block you at a certain point and cause physical damage, as well as emotional and mental just weariness. So it feels like you need to kind of get it out, so that you can kind of begin to flow again. And I think that's also why the emphasis is on you sort of healing yourself, taking up space, like finding what makes you happy so that you can kind of live to fight another day in a way. Yeah, it feels like there's no point in sort of like standing your ground in the same way that you have been doing, and just like fighting off other people's opinions or fighting off doubts or fighting off masculine influence is coming up here. Fighting off someone who's trying to screw you over in some cases, or without even, acknowledging or realizing quite that that's what they're doing. But just standing there and taking it, it's like you fighting off, you trying to kind of maintain the same position that you've had is sort of, in a way, it's like just allowing the same stuff to go on. So it seems like there's no point, again, this is sort of like, there's no point in you being like a martyr and kind of keeping your emotions like suppressed. It's really time for you to get off your throne, get off your, it's time for you to see what makes you happy, to move away from it and kind of work on renewing yourself. So I feel like you've been fighting a good fight. Whatever you've been fighting for has been for something that matters. It's not, it doesn't seem to be just coming out of stubbornness or pride. But the tactics need to change, kind of. And the way that you do that is by refocusing your attention on your health and on your stability, on your personal joy. Because I think that's what's going to give you strength to actually deal with this situation when it does come around, finally. Because it feels like for some of you, you've been spending so much energy in anticipating it or in trying to figure out what to do about it that you're just kind of worn out, you know? So it's like you need to take a break so that when this thing actually begins, that you're kind of waiting for to begin, you're not like too tired to enjoy it, you know? Because I do see a lot of positive things coming up. Yeah, I really do. I see somebody, you know, whoever you've been kind of waiting on to get it, I see them getting it. And I see you being happy. But it feels like, again, like that's still kind of a ways off. And so you need to conserve and reserve your energy and renew yourself so that you're not, you know, all finished by the time this is ready to begin. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for June, Sagittarius. I hope that's helpful. If you would like a personal reading, my link for scheduling is down below. Please note that all the times are in Pacific time, so please do the translation. You can just Google Stockholm time to Pacific time, and it'll tell you what it is in your time zone, just to make sure you're booking for a time that actually works for you. My email address is theivyleagueastrologer@gmail.com if you want to get in touch. And otherwise, have a good June and take good care of yourselves. All right, thank you.